Hi there, my name is Seamus McKernan. I'm here with Cosmoprof and Nioxin, and today I'm here to teach you guys a couple of tricks about bridal styling. This is my beautiful model, Kate. You can see that she is basically ready to go and has been prepped prior to our live. We did her color as well, and can we pull up the picture of her before shot, please? Awesome. So you guys can see here that Kate has a little bit of grown out color. She's got a beautiful blonde, but it's a little bit brassy, and she definitely needs to add a few more highlights in. So what I did was a baby lighting technique, and I went around her hairline and made sure that stayed really nice and bright. And then what I did was I went in afterwards and gave her a slight root shadow and then did another gloss through her ends. So everything looked beautiful. So you guys will get to see her color in a minute as I get ready to take this curl set out. I'm going to talk about this for 1 second if no one minds. I'm going to turn her to the side so you guys can see. This is the sign of a really good curl set. The fact that you can kind of see, I can peek right through there and see you guys, is a really good thing. If you do a curl set and the curls flop over, it means that you're either not using enough product or maybe you're not using a strong enough product. So prior to doing the curl set, I actually prepped Kate's hair and I used two different things. I used Bodifying foam, and I used the Dionax Advanced. And the reason why I did this was because I wanted a little extra root lift and I wanted some moisture, but a little bit of spring throughout. And then I blow dried her hair thoroughly using my fingers and a large round brush. And then I went in afterwards and I started curling her hair. And for the curling, I used a 1-inch GHD curling iron. This is the classic iron. I love this iron because it makes your curls go super, super, super fast. And prior to actually curling her, I sprayed her hair at the root with Dionax Advanced. And then the one thing that was really cool was because her ends were a little bit more sensitized, I actually switched from Dionax Advanced, sorry, I said Dionax, silly me. I meant Niospray, Advanced Niospray or Extra Hold. I went back into the Regular Hold Niospray. And then I sprayed this liberally throughout. So this just allowed me to get a really nice set. I'm going to start taking this down so you guys can see what's happening. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my first look. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to go ahead and start kind of taking these pins down and just moving these guys out, which always fun. But once I get done with this, this is the little fun part because it takes a second to get these guys out, but I'm going to move quick. Kate is such a great trooper. She let me put 4,000 pins in her hair. But this is a sign of a really cool thing, and I wanted you guys to see this. This was kind of a conversation I had with everyone backstage. I want you guys to see the work that goes into the set first, because the upstyles themselves are relatively simple and they're easy to do. But this is the part where when you're doing a bride, you really need to take your time and set them properly, because this is going to allow her style to last from the first thing in the morning until sometime tomorrow. Like, once I get done with this, no matter how much I manipulate Kate's hair, she could brush this out and get a really awesome set. The little clippies that I'm using as well are amazing. These guys are actually something that they sell at Cosmoprof. They're for balayaging, so I'm going to just zoom in. I'm going to have them zoom in on one of these little guys here. The thing I like about them is they have a little grip on them because I have giant man hands, and so for me, holding something delicate is really a pain in the butt. So I love these, and in case no one knows, these are also the same clippies they used on the cover of Solange's second album. So they're the ones that they used to make her look like she had butterflies in her hair. They were actually these little guys right here. So it's just a fun fact about them. I'm just moving through and just being gentle, so I don't want to disturb the curl too much. I'm not trying to pull on it yet. That will happen in a second when I do her brush out. One thing I always tell people, and this is a big thing when you do your brush out, be really gentle. You don't want to rip through the hair. You know, one thing we believe at Nioxin is in the importance of healthy hair. So like if you're brushing through her hair and you're just ripping it out and she's trying not to cry, it's probably not so good, right? So when I go through and I do her brush out, I'm going to add a little bit of Instant Fullness, which is our dry shampoo. And the reason why I want to do that is just to get a little bit of grit for our first upstyle. So I'm going to be showing you guys two upstyles today. One is going to be a beautiful half upstyle, and then the second one is going to be a really easy chignon. And I have a super cool trick with the chignon that's helpful. Yeah, chignon's a fancy word, right? But what a chignon means is basically like a half bun. It's just a little thing that we do to make things kind of simple. And I always say if it sounds French, then people get really excited about it. Because, you know, for people like me from the Midwest, it sounds real fancy, like. It's like, I like things that feel like when you tell the client, you're like, would you like a half bun? They're like, no. Would you like a chignon? And then they go, ooh, yeah, I want one of those. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds French. So those are kind of the things I tell people. When we're talking with our clients too, please keep in mind, your client's gonna show you pictures of things, and sometimes it's really intimidating, but like, don't let them scare you with their pictures, because like, whatever you're gonna do is gonna be better than what they could do at home. And 90% of the time, the picture is just a guide. It's the conversation and the consultation. Like even with Kate, who is gonna be absolutely stunning, we did do a really thorough consultation and I talked to her a lot. So you guys can see this is my curl set, all brushed out. Yes, I'm sorry, we had a question. I'm sorry, I'm getting all excited here. Please.
No worries. We have a question from Jeanette.
Yes.
She asked, can we see how the curls fall from the back?
Yeah, of course, Jeanette, absolutely. Thank you for the question. So this is what the curls are gonna look like right now prior to falling, and this is prior to the brush out. You can see she's got a ton of volume and movement. Isn't that amazing? Like honestly, the cool thing about this is with very little effort, I'm gonna make a really beautiful set. One of the things I'm gonna do right now to brush her out is I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna go ahead and use a boar bristle brush. So this is a mixed bristle. And the big thing when you're brushing out, don't do this. If you brush from the top, you end up creating frizz and you actually flatten the hair out. So I'm gonna have you do me a favor, love. I'm gonna have you just bring your head back slightly for me. So kind of look up just a little like this. And when we do our brush out, we're gonna do this brush out from the underneath. And you kind of wanna do the hustle. So like you wanna move your hands like this, where the brush out is going from the underneath, so it doesn't disturb the curl on the surface. Because the cool thing about this is, let's say she just wanted to wear this as her style, she could go out and she's gonna look like a total babe. Like, look at how beautiful that is and how shiny and luminous her hair looks. I mean, I can't get better than this. And this is just simple. This is just a curling iron with a little bit of product and a little bit of movement. So I'm gonna just turn her slightly so I can get the rest of the brush out. And I'll show you guys a front shot when that's all done, because honestly, this could have been my first look. Like I could have really, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm kind of a lazy hairdresser. So this could have totally been my first look and I could go home right now because she looks great and it's just a brush out with a curl set, right? Sure, what's the question?
Hey Seamus, we have a question. They asked, can you please repeat what products you use to prep her hair?
Of course. I will not only repeat them, I'll show you guys them on camera so you can see them for yourself. So when I curled her hair, particularly, I used two different products. I used the Strong Hold Niospray at her root because she had a beautiful natural looking root already. And her root was a little bit silky, so it needed a little bit more tack so it could get the volume to it. So I sprayed that liberally. And then through the ends, I actually went in with the Light Hold Niospray. And the reason why I did that was because the ends are a little more sensitized from the previous color. So I wanted to make sure that when I got my brush out, I didn't have too much drag from that. So hopefully that answers your question. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make sure everything is nicely secured, and we're gonna kind of get into the meat and potatoes because I'm sure you guys are super happy to be here, but I'm sure...
Before you get into the meat and potatoes.
Well, I love your questions.
Catherine Clowers says, my curl sets never look this beautiful. I feel like I always end up with a crease at the base. How can I prevent that?
So Catherine, the really important thing when you're doing this is when you're curling, you never want to move too far away from the base. I think that happens to a lot of people. The secret to a good curl set is this. You have to, if the person's coming in, let's say their hair is dry, you may want to blow dry their hair a little bit, even dry, to remove any creases, bumps, or lumps that they're coming in with. So you can re-wet their hair with a product like the Dionax Advanced, which is really, really amazing. Or you could even use something like our Thermactive spray, or you could use a little bit of the thickening spray as well. And then just take your blow dryer and blow dry everything back with either your hands, or what I'm gonna show you guys later with Zach, you could use a brush like this. So any kind of Denman style brush or half round brush would be perfect for that. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit. The other thing as well, just make sure that you're keeping close to the base and then rotating out. Close to the base and rotating out, because that's what's gonna give you that really nice set. And then when you're pinning, don't be nervous. I think the big thing is like we beat ourselves up over this stuff. It's okay, if the curl falls out of the pin, just gently repin it. Awesome, cool. So guys, what I wanna do right now is I'm gonna take a second, I'm gonna kind of spin her around so you guys can see the back of her hair. I'm gonna start, because I'm gonna show you guys a half up style, and this is one of those ones where I love this. I'm obsessed with a lot of different things, one of which being Greek mythology. So I am a little crazy. I know it's hard to tell right now, but I have a ton of tattoos, and I have Greek mythology all over my body. And so this is kind of a style that I'm gonna say is like an old Hollywood / Greek goddess style. And it's a half up style where we're going to go ahead and I'm gonna pin everything over to the side. One of the reasons why I like to do this style is because it's very, very glamorous. It looks really pretty and it's super easy. The important thing with this is this. You wanna build a foundation. Anytime you're doing up styles, the most important thing in the entire world is to build a solid foundation. I find for something like this, making a braid is a really great way to pin in. So I'm gonna go ahead right now, I'm gonna take a tiny bit of the definition cream because this makes it easier for me to grip when I'm working. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna take about a pea-sized amount, so about that much, so that you guys see, it's not a lot, it just gives the hair a little tack, so it makes my job easier. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from the top, make sure my section is clean. I don't want it to be too big of a section. Move a little bit of this hair out of the way. And then I'm just gonna do a really quick on the scalp braid. When I'm doing this, guys, please don't feel like, I'm gonna move like that so you guys can see, sorry about that. Please don't feel like when you're doing this stuff, it needs to be a perfect braid. Like, I never think of it that way. No one's gonna see the braid, so don't feel like if you're not good at braiding or your braids look wonky, doesn't matter. Braiding is one of those things where sometimes for us, braiding is a matter of the heart more than it is an actual practice. I think people sometimes feel like if they can't get a perfect braid, that they've somehow failed. It's no big deal. No one's gonna see it. All it is a base for us to hold the pins. And I like this better than using teasing and things like that, because sometimes if you tease, the teasing can come undone. A braid, once it's braided, stays locked in. And I'm just gonna kind of braid this down to the middle here. I'm not gonna go super crazy far, because it doesn't really need it. So I'm gonna leave that little bottom tail out. And I'm just gonna walk the braid down a little bit more so I can tie it off with one of the elastics. Kate, would you mind handing me an elastic, the clear one, please? Thank you. So Kate is really awesome because I told her, please just do whatever I ask you to do. I asked her for money out of her wallet and she gave it to me. So I'm really lucky because somehow she managed to fall for my charm. So all I'm gonna do is take and make my little elastic. I'm gonna pull tight like that, just secure. I'm gonna go ahead now and go in. And I'm gonna take really large vertical panels and I'm gonna roll them so that you don't see the braid. So the first thing I'm gonna do with that is I'm just gonna spray a little bit of the Instant Fullness for some grip. I don't mind back combing or teasing or lacing or whatever you wanna call it, but I try to make sure when I do it that it is not something where it's overly done. So if I don't have to do it, I prefer to avoid it. Yes?
Question, can you not use any padding for this hair up?
Yeah, you don't need padding. I don't ever use padding, to be honest with you. So the question was, do I need to use padding for this? You can if it makes you feel comfortable. I tend to find padding isn't necessary for a lot of upstyling because we can build that foundation through using product. So just going in and working with product is gonna help. So one thing I wanna call out right now, and I'm gonna ask you guys to zoom in a little bit as I'm doing my pinning, I use mostly hairpins. I do not use a lot of bobby pins because I find that they make too tight of a grip. And if my bride is gonna be dancing all night, I don't want her to do it with a blinding headache. So the trick to using a hairpin correctly is to take it and put it in backwards. So I'm putting it in this way. I'm gonna pull this way, and then I'm gonna shoot backwards towards my little braid, and I'm gonna lock it in place. It's okay if you see the pin through the braid for a minute because the next section of hair is gonna cover that over. But what you guys will notice is as I'm pinning, the little braid is disappearing pretty quickly. And the reason we do that is because It just makes our life easier. So I'm using just a simple tail comb and just kind of going in, and I'm pushing the hair up a little bit to get a nice bit of volume out of it. But all I'm really doing is focusing on building a simple shape. So now that I have my braid in place, it's locking in. And Kate, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Do you feel any of these pins, or is it pretty gentle?
Not
and you
at
can
all.
be honest, like you can really actually be honest.
It's very gentle.
Yeah, so that's the point. We don't want Kate to feel like she's getting her head ripped off just because she's getting a simple style. So all I'm doing is really just focusing on bringing everything over, making sure it's got a nice balance. If you want more of that Instagram-y thing that people really like, I could take it now that the curl set is in, and I could fluff it and ruche it a little bit so it has a little bit more of that kind of nice effect, which I think looks really pretty right now. I mean, I'll be honest, doing this while talking sometimes kind of changes the way it feels to you a little bit, but honestly, this is going pretty easy. How we doing, guys? Everyone's happy? Sorry, I know I'm kind of walking in front of the camera. Hopefully you guys like my shirt, you know? I wore it just for you. I did. I was like, I wanted to dress up. So this is the cool
Seamus?
thing. Yes.
When you have a sec, can you show those sprays that you were using again?
Yeah. The hairsprays? Absolutely. So I cannot live without these hairsprays. They are my favorite, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not saying this like no endorsement, no nothing. I use these at home, honestly. Yeah, so these are my favorite. I use the regular hold Niospray and the extra hold Niospray. Here's the cool thing. Some extra hold hairsprays, the minute you touch it, it's like glue in a can. So once you spray it in someone's hair, you're not gonna be able to use it. This is the extra hold, and it has Pro-Thick technology, but it's still a brushable hold, which means I can brush through Kate's hair completely and still get an amazing style. Her hair's still gonna be soft to the touch. It's definitely gonna have some body to it, but it's not gonna be crazy. And the great thing about this, which is the regular hold, this is awesome for people who don't like hairspray. So if you're someone who's like, I don't want my hair to feel like I have potato chip hair, this is great. It's a wonderful product for that because it's basically whisper soft. If you brush it with a brush, it disappears. Cool?
Thank you.
Of course, it's my pleasure. So you guys can really see how the style is starting to shape up. Here's the cool thing. It looks really awesome, and she's got this really nice column look going. I'm not gonna work too hard. It's almost, sometimes I think of this almost like an Ariana Grande where it's a side ponytail. I am gonna take this little corner right here and just bring this in for balance. I'm kind of a stickler. So I'm gonna actually use a bobby pin for this. I do not open my bobby pins unless I absolutely have to. So some people are upstylists who love bobby pins and it's their favorite thing in the world. To me, I don't use bobby pins unless I absolutely have to, because once you put a bobby pin in the hair, you better be darn sure that that's where you want it. Because if you don't, it's stuck. It ain't going anywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead. Yes?
Can you also go over again the proper way of using hairpins rather than bobby pins?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
So,
we also got comments that people love your shirt, by the way.
oh, thank you. You guys are so sweet. This is like so much fun. I feel like I'm just having fun with my friends. So when you take your hairpin, if you guys want to zoom in here on my hands, my beautiful manicured hands, my lovely wedding ring, you want to go up like this, and then you want to shoot backwards and down. Because if you do that, what it ends up doing is it grips the hair a little bit more, and I'll show that again really slow. So I'm going to go up like this to find the hair in the top, bring it down like so, and then just gently slide the pin in. And the cool thing is, people think that you need to secure all of the hair, but once it's twisted like this, it's not really a matter of securing all of it. It's just a matter of making sure everything looks nice. And then all I'm gonna do is take this little bit in the front that I've been working with, because this is, we still have to move a little bit of this out of the way. Just wanna take a look here. Also bring some of this up a little as well. So keep in mind too, guys, if you do decide to ruche the hair, you can always use your fingers, because Kate's got like jumbo extra long hair. So even though it's absolutely stunning, sometimes it's a bit much. So when I want to shrink hair like that, I use my fingers first. And now I'm just going to take this front bit. We're just going to shape things a little so you guys can kind of see where we're moving with this. I'm gonna take the front bit and I'm just gonna kind of figure out where I want. This sounds weird, but I'm using the monitor, because you guys don't know this, but there's a monitor where I can see everything that's going on. So if you guys wave, I can see you. I'm just kidding. But I'm using the monitor as a mirror for myself, so I can kind of figure out how this looks and make sure that it looks good, because you know, my bosses are over there taking notes and I don't wanna get fired. I'm just kidding, I'm like, that's not what's happening. No, I just like to use the mirror. I'm a very big person of visual balance. So if an upstyle is pretty but doesn't look balanced, it's not good. Did we have a question? So you guys can kind of see here, I'm just moving in from our first style, how pretty that looks. It's got this beautiful braided finish. So I hope you guys really like this, because this is super easy. Like, you guys saw how long this took me? This is like a 10-minute upstyle. The most important thing, so the one thing I want to point out, and I'm going to say this again and again and again, is this. The most important thing when you're doing an upstyle, when you see all that stuff on Instagram that makes you go, oh, I could never do this, I could never do this kind of upstyle. The most important thing in the world is this: prep the hair. Take your time and prep the hair. Everything else will take you 10 minutes. It's not that hard. I promise you, if I can do this, I am, you know, a bumbling guy from Chicago. I am no different than any of you guys out there. I want to say this like as I'm doing this, because everyone's like, oh, you're a professional and you work for this brand and all of this. I am just like you. I'm a hairdresser first, and I know exactly what goes through your head, because trust me, it goes through mine. Prep the hair. Like seriously, if you take the time and do that, you guys will absolutely have success with this. Don't be nervous. Like that is the most important thing. Just take your time, breathe through it. It's gonna be great. Like I'm breathing through it with you. But what do you think of this upstyle? Everyone happy? We have a nice first look, right? So I'm gonna do two things. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move in from there, and we're gonna move into our second look. So anyone have any questions so far?
Yes. Marcella said you did the color too?
I did do the color, Marcella. And what I did for that, I did a really simple baby light. And you can actually look, if you want to see the process of it, it's actually available on the Wella Education Instagram. So if you go to their Instagram story, you can see the whole process of it. But just to kind of give you an idea of why I went with more of a baby lighting versus like a super heavy highlight. Her hair, and this is just full transparency because I've talked to Kate about this as well, her hair at the bottom is pretty processed, and it's been through a little bit to get her to this blonde, and I wanted to make the top of her hair a little healthier. I didn't want to continue the damage cycle by just bringing tons and tons of highlights through. To be honest with you, the look now is much more gentle than it used to be. Like, girls are embracing their roots a little bit more. We can thank Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City and all these young modern people for that, because they're kind of the reason why we're embracing the root, right? Everyone either wants balayage or they want something where they feel a little bit more natural. And it's kind of a cool thing for us as hairstylists, because honestly, instead of working as hard as we did before, it's more about the placement now. So honestly, Marcella, you're probably already doing most of this in the salon. The only trick is don't put as many highlights, just pay attention to where you're placing them. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry so much about perfect, like 7,000 highlights. Really just worry more about like, where did I place them? Are they along the hairline? Can she see them? Do they have a nice space? And if you guys want, one thing I'll do, because I know this is good for the people who are seeing and have questions about the color, you guys can zoom in a little bit. Can you guys zoom in on the front of her hair? Just a smidge so they can see the little bit of the hairline. What you can see right there is, do you see that these little guys going right here and here? That's that really awesome baby lighting. It's just meant to make it look like the sun did it rather than it was done on its own. So right on the sides here, you can really see that going on. It looks really great. Like right there, this little guy is like my favorite. His name is Antonio. Sorry, my sense of humor comes through. I was like, be professional, Seamus, but I like to be myself. So I'm gonna do a simple brush out with her, and then we're gonna move on to the next style. Please.
Hey, Seamus, where's your salon?
So my salon's in Chicago, Illinois. I work at an amazing salon. Is it okay if I say the name? Is that all right? Cool. So the salon I work at is Solo Salon, which hopefully people from Solo are watching. So if you are, I love you guys. Hi, Christine. Christine is my boss, and she's like the coolest chick on the planet. Like, if you guys don't know, Christine Singer is the bomb. But I work in Chicago, and you know, I've been in the Midwest my whole life, and I love it because people are very, we're just kind of like honest. but we're nice. Like, we're cool about it. We're not like, you know, some places where people can be like really gruff. We're definitely no BS, but we're a nice no BS. So I'm gonna go through right now and I'm just gonna section her hair off for our next up style. Big thing with this, and this is always where I kind of tell people, sectioning is important, but it's not like you need to have a picture perfect, super clean lined section. We're not braiding her hair. We're really going to be doing a really simple chignon. And one of the tricks with doing a chignon is you want to kind of section off the bottom, and we're going to ponytail it. But the cool thing is we're going to do ponytail plus, which means I'm going to do a really simple trick, because when you back comb, sometimes what ends up happening is it becomes a really big nightmare for you, right? So I'm going to do two things. Number one, no back combing will be involved. I will be using a brush, and I will be doing back brushing, which is a technique that I actually did learn from Christine Singer, so thank you, Christine. Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, when you have a chance, Seamus, if you can maybe give your guidance on how to price services, starting with the consultation versus day of.
So consultation to me is this. Consultation is not a tool for the client. Consultation is a tool for me personally as a stylist. So consultation is free. I don't care who it is. Think about it this way. You are in that job to razzle dazzle them. So when you do a consultation, don't charge them for a consultation. Like, can you imagine? They're not even getting, they're getting a couple minutes of your time. Here's what I will tell you. I only do a 15-minute consultation, and if they want a longer consultation, then I have them book a service. And when it comes down to it for their trial to me, I am very fast at upstyles, so normally I will do 1 to 2 styles, and then we take pictures and we take them from every angle and multiple lightings so that they can assess them, take them home, show them to their friends and whatnot. And then for the day of, we select a style. If they're not happy for any reason, P.S., I will redo their trial for free, because I would rather just have them be happy and know that the day of I don't have to worry than to have to stress about it the entire time. Like, that stuff is for me as much as it is for them. And it builds a trusting relationship when you tell your client, I'm sorry you were unhappy, let me see if I can fix that. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, let's move this out of the way. Let's get rocking and rolling. I bet you guys are ready to see the actual up style, huh? First one turned out good. We were happy with that. So we're gonna go ahead and move in. One thing I'm gonna tell you guys too, when I do this ponytail, here's the secret. I don't care how it looks. It doesn't need to be a perfect pin pony. It doesn't need to be any of that stuff. The cool thing about the pre-setting is the setting will make it easier for me so that the ponytail will look a little bit more nicely organized. I'm just taking a simple elastic. I'm going through, looping it, pulling tight. Here's where the part gets interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and take my beautiful mixed bristle brush, and I'm gonna back brush. And when you back brush, you want to take the nose of the brush, so practice this motion. And what you wanna do is you want to go from the ends, and you want to brush up and fluff up. Now, this is gonna look crazy for about 2 seconds, and I'm gonna apologize for that, because we never like anything to look crazy. But what this is really, this is not really like a heavy back comb, even though you might think it is from the look of it. If I go like this and I start brushing, it all comes right back out. It's a really fast way to get that hair teased up so that I can get a foundation. This is where, so the person who asked the question about filler pads earlier, this is gonna substitute for my filler pad. The next thing I'm gonna do, and this is my super secret weapon, so I cannot wait to tell you guys this, I'm gonna take a hairnet. This is the magic, okay? These are literally 99 cents. You can get them at any of your local beauty supplies. They're not expensive. They're the ones your grandmother used. They're the ones that the people in the kitchen, so, I'm just kidding. You can find them anywhere. Like, it's a hairnet. It's not anything magic, but what I am gonna do with it is magic. I'm gonna take the hair and I'm gonna bring it into the hair pad, into the hairnet like so, to secure it. And here's the cool thing about that. Now you guys can see I have this beautifully, easily secured shape. Let's say she wants more of an actual like donut style. I can take this and shape it around and make my little donut just like that. If I want to do my little chignon, which is what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pinch in the center and then I'm going to pin at the sides. And the reason why I don't want to pin in the center is because I'm going to be tucking her hair into the center. For this to secure, I'm going to use 2 regular bobby pins, Note, I'm not opening my pins. So for those of you who are terrified of bobby pins, don't be, just don't open your pins when you're working. Start with your pins closed, and then when you feel more confident with that, then you can move into pins open. Once I'm done with this, I'm just gonna make sure that the sides are slightly secured. So if it's moving away from the base too much, I'm gonna go ahead and just pop a few more in, and then we'll go from there. Anyone have any questions? Are we doing good so far? Awesome. Hopefully I just blew everybody's minds. I hope you guys all go out and get hair nets. We'll be like the net group. So now that that's all secured and easy in place, this is where this style gets really quick and fast and fun. So hopefully I'm doing good on time. I'm rocking. I'm doing this great. I'm really happy. So I'm gonna start and I'm gonna do, sorry, I got real excited. Like I broke the fourth wall. I'm like, sorry guys, I'm real excited. I'm gonna start by taking the hair and I'm gonna break it into 4 simple sections. And then what I'm gonna do for that is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start with my left side. I do a lot of twisting, just so you guys know this. So when I'm working with the hair, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna twist it really nice and tight. I'm gonna bring it down so it sits over top of my little ponytail below, shoot in a pin. Don't worry about the tails. That's always like the part where people go, well, what about the tails? I was like, what about them? They're not gonna be, they don't matter at the moment. They're just there to lock in, to hold in. I'm gonna go ahead and take my second and I'm gonna crisscross over and just go boom, like so. And you guys can already kind of get an idea of what this is gonna do when I have to take this and put it over the hair pad, right? The trick with this when you're securing it is just be aware that you have that netting in there. So you do wanna make sure as you're working and you're kind of blousing and making things big that you don't see the net through. If a pin gets loose for a second too, because that happens, like pins are sneaky, they like to move. If it feels like it's moving too much, switch to a bobby pin versus a hairpin and just go back in and re-secure. And if that doesn't work, then you can always go in and pray, you know? I mean, I'm just kidding. I'm like, it'll be fine. A hairpin, if a bobby pin can't secure her hair, take a smaller section. Sometimes we take a big section because we're in a hurry and we don't need to. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in and just ruche this out. So far, everyone around me is smiling, which tells me I must be doing okay. And I'm just belting everything across to create that really pretty chignon shape. This up style is one of those ones, I called this, I was telling Lindsay, who I work with, hi Lindsay, I told her that I call this style running through the forest with flowers in your hair, and I just stumbled on my wedding. So it's, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very like anthropology beholden, like, you know, free people, hippie love. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, I was running through the forest and all of a sudden I just ran on my wedding. And it's super easy. And the cool thing about it is, and you guys can see this, I don't even have that much hair in here, but it's already basically covering the net. So all I have to do at this point is roll that bit under and then just work it in from there. So I'm gonna start by kind of securing things and then I'll worry about the sides. Because I think the big thing with this is sometimes people get spastic and they get real nervous about this part, like, okay, this is starting to look good, and then they freak out. Use a little regular hold Niospray. Once you get the hair into place where you want it, just gently kind of spray it so it stays. So like, don't be afraid to kind of bring things in, move it around. I know I can see the net there, so for the person in the audience who might be like, you can see the net through, you won't be able to when I'm done. All I'm gonna do is take my hair, I'm gonna bunch it together like this and bring it up so I can make that little shape. And this is where the bobby pins come in handy, because if I don't use a bobby pin to do this, it may not secure as nice. And Kate, how much am I hurting you right now? Not at all, right? Like you barely even feel it. That's a big thing. Like nobody wants their hair to be, their head to be on fire for the sake of an upstyle. So if that upstyle is like making your head hurt, then don't be gentle. You know, your clients are paying you good money, so let's try not to hurt them too much. I'm gonna take this little bit here in the top where the tails are, and I'm just gonna kind of shift it around and give it a little push like that, because I don't need it to be perfect just yet. Keep in mind when you're working and you're doing this stuff, guys, perfect is only for the last 5 minutes. So I could sit here and fiddle with the pins. Oh, I'm so sorry. Move a little more like this. A little more like, there you go. So don't feel like you guys need to have everything perfect within that first couple minutes. If something's not perfect, it's okay. I think the biggest thing that we do as stylists, and this is a big thing we need to stop doing, not to sound like I'm all political hairdresser, but we need to stop beating ourselves up for not being perfect in the first couple minutes. You guys are amazing. Like everybody who's here, here's the cool thing, and this is what your clients don't even realize. You are here because you want education, because you want to learn to be better, right? Or because you're interested, and maybe you have your lunch break, but you're spending time with me so that you can watch somebody like teach you some tips. So like you're already doing a great job. Don't worry, it's okay. Like you're doing fantastic. I'm here to tell you that. Like if nothing else, I can be a positive support. But already this looks great, right? And I haven't even incorporated the front. Just got this cute little tail that I can work with in just a second. But the big thing with this stuff is when we're bringing it in, kind of finding its home is important. So like I'm gonna bring this up and bring this over like this, because I like that better. You know what I mean? Like I think you guys probably get where I'm going from with this. So hey, hopefully,
Seamus,
yes.
Can this style be done on thick, coarse hair?
Yes, it absolutely can. Thank you for the question, which was, can this style be done on thick, coarse hair? Absolutely. The only difference that I would make, and this is a big thing when you're working with thicker or coarser hair, instead of doing a traditional chignon like I did and using the net, I might actually braid the hair down and then loosely blouse the braid. So what I mean by blousing the braid is break it apart and then pin the braid in. So when you have someone who's got a lot of hair, you have to condense the hair rather than trying to expand it. And one of the easiest ways to condense hair is through using a braid because it makes it shrink a little bit. So that's kind of my approach to it. I would take that whole bottom section, I'd either ponytail it really tight and then do a really nice tight braid and then just kind of wrap it around and then pin into the braid. So hopefully that answers your question for you. I think braiding is a really great way to help to make these things work out a little bit better. And it just makes things a little easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and start incorporating her sides. A trick that I learned that's really helpful, don't just take all of this and go straight across. That's the temptation, right? Like the quick hairdresser is like, I need to hurry up and get this done. You know, if you guys feel like you're under pressure, imagine what it's like having a studio full of people watching. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like the world is watching. No, but like, don't feel like don't rush. Like the detail work, that is the most important thing because that's what she sees. And that's a really big call out that I want to make to you guys. There's a difference between what you see and what she sees. She doesn't see any of this until I give her a mirror and show her the back of her head. So if this isn't perfect, work on it. You know, take a couple minutes, really adjust things, make sure that the shape looks nice. If I see something where it's not quite perfect, like I see that little corner needs to come in, I literally just took the tail of the comb and I'm using it to hold the hair up a little bit so I can get a little bit better balance with that. And then all I'm gonna do is swap the tail in a second with a couple pins and it's done. This is not spun sugar. It will not fall apart if you touch it. So don't be afraid to kind of get in there and work. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this side. I'm gonna use the tail of my comb here, the teeth of my comb, and just lightly back comb. Not a ton here. I'm gonna twist a little bit as well. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take that twist and open it up. And I like doing this because it creates a softer finish. If someone wants volume in her hair too, you can also take the tail of the comb. And do you guys see how I'm just doing this little thing where I'm loosening it? Just the tiniest bit. That's all you need. It's not always necessary. People do so much back combing and it's like, then she can't get her hair out. Like, Kate wants to go home and wants to like make her hair look really pretty and be done. So all I'm doing is using the tail to kind of secure those little bits, finding them, taking my pins, popping my pins in, and it's easy. Can I get a time check? Just curious. 1:38. Oh, perfect. Wow. So that's great. So do you guys see? This is a really fast up style. This did not take me, like I was not, and I want to point out something. There were no magic tricks, right? Like I didn't just go, oh, this is so easy. And then 2 seconds later, I did like the camera cut out and then all of a sudden she came back and her hair was done. All I'm doing is just taking my time with this and just trying to make sure everything's pretty. Big thing here too, because you guys can see that there's a section. This was a tip that I got from someone that I really like, which is you'll notice, and I'm gonna kind of spin her around. Sorry guys, I'm gonna make all the camera people like mad at me because they're gonna have to do more work. But I'm doing a zigzag when I take my section. And the reason why I do that is so it blends a little bit more. So each section stays a little bit softer. That way when I go to pull it out and everything, it's not such a heavy, heavy piece.
Can we see that zigzag a little more?
Yeah, of course. Kaboom. It does not need to be a perfect zigzag. It does not need to be like a Z. It just needs to be like a little zigzaggy just to make it so that everything blends together. Because remember, diagonal sections, if we remember from like back in beauty school, everybody's favorite, when they talked about pin curls, they always used to say diagonal would blend your base. That's why like when you do hair cutting as well, a diagonal section, like when you cut with using diagonal sections, it looks more blended because diagonal lines blend bases. So that's also good when you're foiling as well. So when you guys are like trying to foil something, if you want it to look super blended, use diagonal sections instead of vertical or horizontal.
We have a question about the comb you're using and where they can get one.
So this is a super inexpensive comb. I mean, honestly, I picked this up, I think, honestly, I just picked this up at like a little dollar supply, but you could get something like this, I mean, probably on Amazon. You know, the S Word, that lovely store, they probably could get it. You can get it there. These are just, all it is a double row of back combs. I think I paid 99 cents for it. So like literally in Chicago, just so I say this, there are a lot of beauty supplies that are nameless, like House of Beauty or House of Hair or Ladies Hair Supply. Cosmoprof probably has something amazing like this though. I would say that any of those kind of tools, Cosmoprof is like always my number one for this stuff. So if I don't know where to go, I go to Cosmoprof and I wander around with a basket, which is bad for my checking account and my husband. Sorry, husband. All right. Yeah, no worries. I just like using, to me, it's about if it has a good tail. So for me, a sign for a good comb is the tail nice and tight and sharp. I don't like using combs where the tail is blunted because it makes it harder to get a clean section. So it's a personal preference. I always tell people, you know, what works for me doesn't always work for someone else. I'm just making sure I'm not in my elbows here. I'm just kind of taking and detailing the hair a little bit at the top here. This is also a great style for someone if they're going to wear a veil because her veil could literally sit right in here and it will look beautiful. Any other questions so far? Are you guys doing good? Any comments? I'm always curious, like, is everybody happy? Are we enjoying this? I hope so. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with you guys, which is great.
Nope, you're getting a lot of comments. That's so beautiful. Great tips.
You guys are so sweet.
Thank you. I think they just want to see the finished result.
It's right. They're like, okay, get to the finish line, Goofy. So the big thing with this, and I always tell people this, is don't be nervous. Try not to cover up your details. Like the details that are going on in the bottom are looking so good. I'm just making sure as I'm going that they're secure. Also, one thing I always tell people, give your head a little shake for me. Shake, shake, shake. Nothing's moving, right? Okay, give your head a big shake. Nothing's moving except for that one little bit. So I'm gonna repin it. This is why I tell people when you do up styles, make sure, because if she's a headbanger and that happens, man, so it's okay if it comes loose. All that tells me is I might want to use a bobby pin instead of a hairpin. That's it. It's going to happen. Like someone's going to get their makeup done and they won't be as consummate. The makeup artist may not be as wonderful as Joel, but sometimes too, you know what the cool thing is? When that shook loose, it actually made it prettier. How about that? Kaboom. So Joel's really awesome at makeup and doesn't mess with the hairstyles as much. But the cool thing is if someone does, look at, boom, done, right back to where it was. And it's better, you know? So don't be afraid. I would definitely tell you guys when you're doing this, do a shake check with your clients, like literally have them shake their head and they can shake it a little bit. They can shake it violently. If they shake it violently and it falls loose, that's also kind of a call out to them. Because sometimes clients don't know and they're like, oh, you know, the worst thing in the world is when a client comes in for an upstyle with a turtleneck on. Because guess what has to happen? You're like, you're going to have to cut off your turtleneck. They're like, what? You're like, you can't pull that over your head, girl. You're going to have to use a pair of scissors. That's a big conversation to have with your clients as well when you're prepping them for an upstyle. Please make sure that they know what to wear the day of. A button-up shirt or something that can be slid over their head easily, or a shirt that they don't care about because they're going to have to cut it out if it's a t-shirt, because you don't want them to slide that over. If you also are going to someone's house, please make sure, this is a big thing because people ask this all the time, well, should I come with clean or dirty hair? When we talk about dirty, we're not talking about Christina Aguilera, like the song Dirty. So like not 7-day-old dirty hair. Like that's not dirty, that's filthy. You want like a day of buildup. If it's more than that, you know what my suggestion is? And this is always a really great tip because you can make more money this way. have your client come in for their reception because they're going to have a reception or a rehearsal dinner the night before. Style their hair for their rehearsal dinner as well. Talk them into getting a blowout with you so you can prep them with the products you need for the next day. And then what you do is you have them come in. And that way you get them for both days. You can see their hair ahead of time. You can talk them off the ledges that they're going through, and they're gonna feel awesome. So there's an easy way to make money, and it's also an easy way to make your clients happy. Plus, if you ever do anything, like sometimes we use extensions and things like that, you can prep all that stuff ahead of time, and then that way the day of, you don't have to stress as much, and you know what's been in their hair because they'll go and get their hair done somewhere anyway, right?
Yes, great tip.
Thank you.
Amazing. Also, do you have any tips for how to get the style to look messy and soft, but not frizzy and crazy?
Yes. I would always say the same thing. Don't be afraid to put a little bit of definition cream in the hair. If it's starting to look frizzy or it's starting to get too big, usually what that means is that the hair is starting to get to, like, you're over brushing. So when you're brushing out a curl, be really gentle with it. And if you start to see the curls going south, like it's getting frizzy, it's getting kind of whatever, that's a great time to start using a little bit of a light product like definition cream or even rejuvenating elixir from Nioxin. I go in with either of those products. So just so you guys know, this is definition cream, but definition cream and rejuvenating elixir look fairly similar. The difference is in the name. Rejuvenating elixir is really nice for something like that because it's a super light hold product. So I just put a little dot of that in my hands and then run it through the curls. It does the trick every time. All right, I've got one section left on this, and then we are doing good on time so far because we're gonna have to get to our gentleman. I know that you guys are really excited about this, but I wanna show you guys the finished look with Kate, and then I'm gonna go ahead and bring on our wonderful gentleman, Zach, who is amazing. And he's super handsome, so you guys get to get a little man candy in there, which who doesn't like that? And he's gonna be awesome. We're gonna show you some men's styling tricks as well, because remember one thing when we're doing this, styling is not just for the ladies. The guys usually need a little help too on their wedding day. So one more pin, and then she's gonna be done. And I think that looks absolutely beautiful. I'm super happy with it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like one of those things where I'm super happy. Her hair looks good. You guys can't see the net. The pins are hidden. There's a couple little pieces. One thing I always like to do like a little tendril check. Make sure that these little guys are coming down. So this is gonna be me. Sorry, I'm kind of standing in front. But you guys can take a peek here. I'm gonna go ahead and steal this cape from you, Miss Kate. Bring this out over here because we don't need that anymore. And then you guys can see this is Kate. Oh, Kate. Come back for 1 sec. We're gonna do, sorry guys, we're gonna do one thing. Can you do me a favor and just do a quick slow spin for them? Beautiful, 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 awesome. Perfect. All right, Kate, you can go ahead and head out. And then Zach, why don't you come on down? All right. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Zach. Zach also got his hair cut ahead of time. I did a nice clipper fade on him. One thing I wanna point out as we're looking at his hair, and then I will get him all caped and draped, is we always like to make sure when we're doing the hairline, this is a really big call out. Go ahead and look down for me. I like to fade the hairline rather than to go in and go straight across and line the hairline, because when you line the hairline, what ends up happening if you don't fade it is it starts to look like Homer Simpson. So he'll get a 5 o'clock shadow and you'll be able to tell where that is. Whereas if you go in and you just low fade the hairline, then as it grows in softer and there's less lining. So it looks a little bit better and it makes things look a little bit more polished. We also went in and we did gloss him. This is his natural color. He's very lucky. I always think gingers are really, really super handsome. I actually think they're so handsome I married one. Sorry, I got him with the cape here. But I'm gonna go through, his hair's a little messy at the moment, and I did, after getting his hair cut prior to doing this today, we did gloss him, and what I used was Relights Stroke 03 from Color Touch, which is a natural gold, and that was designed just to kind of give him a little bit more richness to his color. I love his natural red, and I didn't wanna mess with that, but he had a little bit of highlighting going on, and I wanted to just blend that out a little bit more. So what I'm gonna show you guys today is how to create a really nice polished pompadour look, and the way that you want to do that with your guys, it's really all about the brush and the motion, but it's also really important to use a good product. So I'm going to go in with Definition Cream, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dime size amount, I'm gonna rub this into my hands, and then I'm gonna apply this generously through, and I'm gonna use a wide tooth comb and comb this in. So,
hey, Seamus.
Yes.
Do you recommend a fresh cut and shave for the groom the day of or the day before the wedding?
I recommend for guys, honestly, about 2 days before. So the question was, do I recommend a fresh cut and shave? I actually recommend for both of those that it's either the day before or even 2 days prior so that the hair has a chance to kind of relax into the style. I think it just looks a little bit nicer. And then for the day of, if they need to be styled, we can always have them come in and style. Big reason why we do that is because most guys don't know that, most women don't know this. Men with their shaves, their skin can get very sensitive. So if someone has a reaction like that, it gives it a chance to go down. So that would be the reason why. So I've prepped him with a little bit of definition cream, and I'm gonna go in with my blow dryer. I'm using my GHD, which I love. It's amazing. It makes my life super easy. Again, so this is my lovely little GHD Air Elite. I have my nozzle on. I always like to turn my nozzle sideways. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start in the front here. And his hair is already pretty much prepped. I'm gonna go in with a nice rolling motion. So I'm gonna bring the brush like so, scoop back, pull up. So you guys can see as I'm doing that, it's pull down, scoop up. And I'm gonna do that to build some height in the hair. So I'm gonna bring everything towards the middle and smooth it out as I'm going. So you guys can see as I'm doing this, all it's doing is creating a little bit more height and lift. So when you go on the opposite side, this is the hard part. You have to swap your hands. So originally my hands were like this. Now I'm gonna swap my brush and do the same on the opposite side. So that's where you run into like the big trick is like making sure that as you're doing that, you can do the same thing with the left that you can do with the right. This will also help if his roots need a little more volume. This will give his roots volume, but it will also smooth the style out nicely. And then I'm just laying everything directly over the center so I can get a really pretty finish. And I'm really trying to make sure that as I'm doing this, I'm using the monitor again as a mirror. And I'm just kind of making everything really nice and soft and kind of bringing things into shape. So since his hair is mostly dry, if I was doing this from wet to dry, because I'm sure someone will ask that, I will flat wrap the hair first. So I'll just wrap it flat until it gets a little bit drier, and then I'll go in. His hair was also prepped, just so you guys know, I love Dionax Advanced. It's one of my favorite products in the world. So his hair was also prepped with Dionax Advanced, and then his hair was also prepped with a little bit of Bodifying foam as well, because I just love those two products. They're kind of my everything. And now that I've got his hair in place, one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna use a wide tooth comb and I'm gonna shape it a little bit and then I'm gonna spray it in place. So I like a wide tooth comb because I know this sounds weird, but I like when you can see the ridge marks. Like the combs, the thing that's really cool about a wide tooth comb, if it's done properly, you should be able to see that little bit of definition to the hair. And I'm gonna kind of give it a little pump and push. And you can see that there's a nice spring back with it. And then I'm gonna go in with my Regular Hold Niospray. When you're spraying this, spray liberally and spray upwards. So in the direction that you want the hair to go in is the direction you should be spraying in. The one thing I like about the Regular Hold Niospray too is because it has the wonderful Lightplex technology to it, it makes the hair look super shiny. So as I'm working with him, I'm gonna get a lot of shine out of the product.
Actually, we just got that question. What product makes the shine?
So the product that's making the shine right now is the Regular Hold Niospray. That stuff will give you shine for days. You will have a shine that no one can touch. And then I'm just going through with my little wide tooth comb and I'm just kind of breaking things out so it looks really nice and looks polished. Big thing when you're doing this too, don't be afraid to kind of move things around a little bit until you're happy with it, because nothing's set in stone with our hairspray until you're really happy with it. You can always move things around, shift it a little bit if it needs it. But to me, it's always about like, how does it look? So it's this side here that we're moving around here. We're happy there. Bring that over just a smidge, bring that down. He looks handsome. He looks great. So this is like such an easy thing. And one of the things I love about this too, and I'll point this out because you guys can't see the detail work, and this is where the little stuff comes in. It's the detail work from the side that makes it really cool. And when he takes a picture, like when you guys are shooting, if you're ever doing anything for photo work where you're using a man's styler, wide tooth comb is what gives you that definition. So like when you're doing, and I'm gonna switch over to my extra hold Niospray just to finish things off a little bit because I'm really happy with how that looks on this side. So now I wanna lock it in. And keep in mind with this too, his hair could survive a gale force wind right now, but it's also soft enough that if he goes and takes a soft bristle brush, he should be able to go through it. I want you guys to see the amount of definition that's in his hair from the back and the sides. So I'm gonna turn him all the way around. Can you guys see the ridge marks? I mean, I'm sorry, but that is sexy. Look at that beautiful mark. Like all of that, you can see the lines in it. So it looks like something out of an Instagram photo, right? So if he takes a black and white picture, this is gonna look absolutely amazing. And I mean, then you have this on front. Look at that face. I mean, seriously, I gotta watch out because I feel bad for Kate, you know? It's one of those things, she has some stiff competition. But you guys can see how wonderful everything looks, and it's super easy. That took me all of 5 minutes. So wide tooth comb. Really, really, really helpful when you're doing men's grooming and when you're doing men's styling to make the finish look really pretty. It's also a really great thing you can teach them at home. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off Zach's cape, and then I'm gonna bring back Kate so you guys can see the finished looks. Yep, everybody come behind the chair with me. Nope, you stand here, I stand here. It's like American Gothic, but with 3. And this is all our finished looks today. We have this beautiful couple that looks like they are ready to rock and roll and ready to get married. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. It was wonderful. I hope you enjoyed the tips and tricks. If you always want more of them, please check out Cosmoprof's Instagram, Nioxin's Instagram, and Wella Education. Also, please feel free. We also do have classes at the Wella Studio as well. So feel free to check those out. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciate it, and have a good night.